With David Stokes, Show Me Institute policy analyst. Good morning, David Stokes.
Good morning, McGraw. Good morning, Kelly.
Good morning.
So now we know that you were the first one to sort of bring this up a couple weeks ago, this Clayton tax abatement issue for this high-rise condo. They passed it, and now what's the story? These bunch of residents are trying to have some type of petition to sort of recall it?
It's great to see. It's like in Ellisville. I mean, a couple years ago, we're seeing residents step up and say, no, we've got a process here. We don't agree with the Board of Aldermen's decision to pass this corporate welfare plan, pass this tax subsidy for these new apartments, condos, and retail development in Clayton. And we're saying no. And they've taken some petitions and to have a referendum on the vote. Now, there's some legal dispute as to whether the thing is even eligible for a recall vote due to highly technical readings of the charter, which is absurd in and of itself, that they're going to say because they passed it in one day, meaning it's some type of emergency ordinance,
right,
that it's not eligible for a referendum.
But
of course, they decided it was an emergency ordinance. It wasn't actually an emergency.
But I thought it was only if it was passed in a day and it was unanimous.
Well, that is what the supporters of the referendum are claiming.
Right.
And I would hope that their attorney is right, that reading of the charter would be the correct one. Either way, this is the people of Clayton's money. They're going to tax the nearby residents of Clayton and the nearby businesses full boat to give this new development 50% off of what they were paying. So I hope that they do listen to the people, whatever the charter says. I would hope they would step back and say, you know what? Let's actually listen to the voters here. It's their money. Let's let them have their say.
What's amazing to me about, you talk about Ellisville and you talk about now Clayton, and it seems like that you can make a logical deduction that the people don't want these special taxes given to these developers. And yet these elected officials continue time and time again to give out these tax breaks to these developers. So these politicians are not listening to what the voters are saying.
Well, they're not. And in Ellisville, we saw that really lead to changes, and hopefully you'll see it in Clayton as well. And I'm not saying I want to see anybody on the Clayton board thrown out. I just hope they reconsider.
Right.
Because look, there are cities around Clayton, Richmond Heights, Brentwood. They've been giving away these types of TIFs and other subsidies for years, and it was great to see Clayton. Not that they never gave them out, they did, but they were far more disciplined about it. Mm-hmm. But here, for a luxury apartment complex, luxury condo complex, that has no need for subsidies, there's no economic argument for this at all. There's no moral argument for it either. I mean, this is wrong. There's no need for this proposal. Great things are happening in Clayton. Clayton's a great place. They don't need this subsidy. And to see Clayton now to sort of tumble and say, all right, we'll do it too, is very disappointing.
Because it was set as precedent also, because if they do this, then it just opens the door for them to do even more.
That's a good point too.
And you see that in city after city around this state, that once you say yes, it becomes very, very hard to say no. And we're seeing that. The Post-Dispatch a few weeks ago had a nice story on this type of subsidies in the Central West End, how there are some people in the city's West End trying to cap it, trying to say, we're doing this too frequently. Now we're finding that we're not really causing projects to happen. All we're doing is causing the sale price to go up because developers are now counting on the abatement, so they're willing to spend more in the first place.
Well, I mean,
it's impossible to stop it once you start.
If a high-end luxury condo deserves a tax abatement, what doesn't deserve a tax abatement?
You're absolutely right. I mean, everything.
It's basically they're saying every single thing that you bring to us, we will give you some type of tax abatement. Because if a high-end luxury condo gets it, then I should get my deal.
And that is, unfortunately, the way it is in St. Louis City, Kansas City, and too many municipalities in St. Louis County, where we've gotten to the point with tax increment financing and other types of subsidies, and this is not TIF in Clayton, this is a 50% property tax abatement. We've gotten to the point where it's not that these things are reserved for projects they need them, they're just there for the taking. They've got the money. They're just giving it away, and it's sort of a race to who can claim it first from the developers.
I think one of the most egregious violations of this is, we can probably see it. We can't see it because we're on the wrong side of the building. but the Richmond Heights, Maplewood, Brentwood research triangle of Home Depot, Lowe's, and Menards, all within a quarter of a mile of each other, all in different towns, trying to compete for that same guy who wants to buy a hammer.
And the competition is great. The tax subsidies that come along with that competition are terrible.
Right.
And Richmond Heights, if you recall, was trying to use eminent domain to kick people out to build the Menards. Thankfully, they did not do that in the end. Maplewood, though, did use eminent domain. They tore down people's homes against their will to build a Lowe's. But you almost want to cry if you don't want to laugh. It's so sad.
It's so wrong.
But this happens a lot of. I don't want to single out Maplewood. This happens a lot of places. Happier to say,
right?
Since you don't have it nearly as much, since some outrage on it began 6 or 7 years ago.
Well, but also there have been so many. There's nothing left to build.
There's nothing left to take.
Right.
Right. It's all, well, we already took your home.
There's not a fourth giant big box hardware store to build. So there's no fine. We're done. But I mean, you've got stories of this. You have stories of them moving to the Walmart 2 miles down the road on St. Charles Rock Road. Stealing from the other guy, all while putting the local hardware store guy out of business.
Absolutely. And I enjoy patronizing small businesses like that when I can.
Right.
This local hardware store. We don't deserve to protect them. Nobody should be saying, no, big box store, you can't come in.
Right.
We need to protect our. But you know what? We're going the other way. We're subsidizing the large national competition to put them at a tax advantage over the local store. That's what we're seeing downtown with Ballpark Village right now. Look, if the Cardinals want to put the other the Cardinals-themed bars at a disadvantage and open their own bar, that's fine. That's competition. Right. But the idea that the city subsidized Ballpark Village development and gave them tax advantages over their competition, that's the part that's just terrible. Yeah. And we do it all the time. And it's not just St. Louis. It happens in the whole state.
It's corporate welfare. It's as simple as that. All right, David Stokes, anything else going on with the Show Me Institute we should know about?
Well, we just had a great event with Senator Rand Paul last week, and our next event, and I'll bring some further details in coming weeks, but November 12th, we're bringing Russ Roberts, a terrific economist with the Hoover Institution, to St. Louis University as part of our speaker series, and there's a lot of information on that at showmeinstitute.org.
All right, and we can see you at showmeinstitute.org.
We've got a lot of writing on these types of tax subsidies, tax abatements, which do all the economic research and evidence, and I would say the moral argument as well, demonstrates just how bad this is for our community and our state. We've got a lot of information on it at showmeinstitute.org.
I would be really angry if I had a high-end luxury condo already in Clayton.
And paying so
right.
much
I'd be so mad
taxes.
that my town that I've dedicated my money to and all this and that now is giving my competition a tax break to put me out of business.
Well, some of the leaders of this petition drive to do a referendum where the outrage is coming from for this tax break is from people who live in the very nice condo buildings right around the proposed development.
Right.
Now, they've also got some traffic noise concerns that I think I understand, but I don't think that should stop the development at all. For me, it's pretty much all the question of the tax abatement.
David Stokes, have yourself a good day.
Thanks, McGraw. Thanks,
right.
Kelly.
You got it. 8:47. We'll check in with Mike Kelly, and then don't go anywhere. We got that debate coming up next hour. We've got Steve Stanger and Rick Stream, St. Louis County Executive Debate coming up next hour here on the Big 550.